Welcome to this week's Behind the Plate, the video series of the Southeastern BBQ Showdown. Man, it's getting close. We're almost into June. We're only a few weeks away from the inaugural event where we're going to see teams from all over the world compete to become the first champion of the Southeastern BBQ Showdown inside a baseball stadium in Columbia, South Carolina, right in Segra Park, home of the Columbia Fireflies. One of the things we've told you about is that we're going to have celebrity judges and celebrity guests. And there's going to be a lot of things that you don't necessarily expect when you go to a ballpark, but it's also going to have all those things you do expect. You're going to have the bleachers, and you're going to have the popcorn, and you're going to have the soda, and you're going to have that whole experience all wrapped up in a barbecue competition and a legendary performance by the band Alabama. But today, I'm going to introduce you to one of those celebrity judges, a rock star in the culinary world. Some of you've known from shows like Bar Rescue and Food Network and pretty much every conceivable stage at any food industry event in the country. This guy is on stage helping you with your restaurant, talking about the state of the culinary world, and doing some of the coolest live menu reads you're ever going to imagine. I welcome to the show, Chef Brian Duffy.
What's going on, everybody? And hello, my friend Mark. It's good to see you again, my brother. Always good to see you.
Man, it's great to see you and catch up and just talk shop. But like, you have had a pretty crazy year. You've been as much as everywhere. Like, I don't even know that quite encompasses your schedule this year, but how's it been?
I just looked and I have flown just shy of 55,000 miles in 5 months. So I'm kind of on track. I did 133,000 last year, so we'll see what happens. This year's been kind of all over, everywhere from, being able to hang out with you guys out in Bentonville, Arkansas for Final Table, to, right after that, I was back in Utah. I ended up going out there. I had to do a bunch of stuff for one of the companies I'm involved in, Worst Pot. And then I was, in Vegas. We got to see each other in Vegas. We saw each other a lot this year.
We really have.
Out in Vegas at the bar and restaurant show, which I'm so excited. I just got back from New York, literally like 20 minutes ago, after an unbelievable admin board meeting that we had up there for everything that we're doing from next year. Hopefully we'll be able to get something together. We can get you out there again. You were such a huge asset to us. I've opened a couple of restaurants. I partnered up with Maverick Theory on our new consulting firm. I skied a glacier in Alaska. I have pretty much been all over this year, and I'm very excited. I've been home, with the exception of my New York trip, for 14 days straight.
I mean, that's pretty impressive for you to be in, honestly, any one place for 14 days straight, right, but especially that it's home.
Yeah, it's funny because, as a traveler and an entrepreneur and a creative individual and an adult living with ADD, sometimes 14 days at home can be like rolling your body in fiberglass. Yep. But for me, it's just great. I get to see my family and the people that are the most important to me. And I love being home for Mother's Day. And I cooked, I smoked a bunch of beef knuckles for Mother's Day. My mother wanted roast beef sandwiches. So I, of course, have to do my own version of it. So we ended up making some gravy and doing some roast pork. And one of the best parts about that, honestly, was we all sat around my mother's table and we went through pictures. My sister is like the curator of our family. Mm-hmm. My father, prior to his passing, was the person who handled everything that had to do with our ancestry. So we know, really, my father went very back, like all the way back, finding out that Father Duffy Square in New York City, Times Square, which you guys call it, is actually called Father Duffy Square. And that was one of our great uncles who was a part of that. So there's some really cool history back there. But we sat around for about 6 hours and just went through pictures, man. Like all the way back to my grandmother being born in 1912 to like finding out history. It was pretty wild. So being home was a really, really good thing for me this time around.
Man, that's awesome. And it's so funny because we talk about time at home, time with our family, time with our friends, getting together. And you even brought up, it ends up somewhere on a smoker, somewhere barbecuing, which brings us right full circle to why this event is such an important part of not just the food sport world or the entertainment world, but just it's going to bring so many people together to build some of those memories. Like
Yeah.
everyone has a different way to define even barbecue. How do you define barbecue?
For me, I mean, there's two different levels for me. One, there's a personal. Two, there is a culinary slash professional.
Hmm.
Um, Culinary professional it's a business for me. It's all about time and temperature and consistency with what it is that we're going to do. Adding in creativity along the way. But when I bought my first barbecue spot, for me, I spent 3 months not even telling anybody really that I owned the place because I had to nail down. I had smokers
Right.
that I had never worked with before. So no matter what your culinary accolades are, when it comes to barbecue or it comes to the smoking world, grilling, any of that, like you got to figure out your equipment. Imagine being an F1 driver and hopping in an Aston Martin instead of a Ferrari when it comes showtime. You got to figure that car out. You got to figure the nuance. The same thing happens with a smoker. So for me, the business level of that is about revenue. It's about consistency. It's about proper temperatures. It's about holding. It's about reheating. It's about selling that product the way that it should be done and making money at it. Whereas on the other level, how many times do you get to go to your local farmer's market and pick up a bunch of beef knuckles and some pork tenderloins and a whole bunch of wings just because you can put them off to the side and know you're going to have a snack in 2 hours? That to me is the barbecue portion of it, the sharing of it, the family, the people sitting around the table, the camaraderie, the
Hmm.
conversation, which is funny because when you get into the competition world of it, which is really like a combination of the personal and the professional
That's right.
together.
Hmm.
You sit around and there's your old friends, man. You're pulling your truck in next to somebody that you haven't seen in a year. You're pulling that truck up. You're competing against people that you truly respect and like, but there's still a little bit of competition that goes on with that. But that camaraderie is still there. That wake up early in the morning, that smoker lit, that beer in your hand, that cocktail, that cigar, whatever it is that your world is. Like to me, barbecue just automatically means community to me. It's about bringing people together and just that final opportunity to sit down. And for me, it's the final opportunity to sit down and have the rib that I just pulled off of the smoker. That's
I
it
mean,
for me.
you're absolutely right, and it's one of the things I love about barbecue is that the term really gets used, like you said, kind of a couple different ways. You have a lot of people that think barbecue going out in the backyard, they've got a grill, they're having friends over, and they're going to barbecue, and that usually means
Yeah.
burgers or brats or chicken or something like that. But then you really do have the big pit smoke and the low and the slow and the all the controlled variables that make barbecue such an exact science that doesn't look like one because
Right.
you walk through any competition, Memphis in May, the World Food Championships, the new one, Smoke Slam. You walk through barbecue competition areas, it literally looks like a bunch of people hanging out in lawn chairs, having
Yeah.
beers, having snacks, sharing food, and making some of the most impressive and tasty culinary delights you can possibly
Yeah.
ever imagine.
And it's funny, one of the things that I like about it, I do a lot of stuff with barbecue now. So, I'm involved in the Georgia Barbecue Association.
Mm-hmm.
I do a lot of stuff down there with VFWs. We do a big event in October every year, which is one of my favorite, called the Red, White, and Blue Barbecue, which raises money for wounded warriors and suicide prevention amongst vets and all that stuff. Um, and it's so funny to watch. This was like the first time that I really got to hang out in a competition setting because I'm not
Mm-hmm.
a competition guy. That's just not the way I'll judge it, but I'm not a competition guy. It's just not for me.
Right.
And competition barbecue is completely different than restaurant barbecue, than any other style of barbecue. Because of,
Mm-hmm.
you're putting 25 pieces of thigh on to get the 4 to 6 best looking thighs that were made out there. But my favorite part about it is not only the camaraderie and everybody hanging out and talking and doing all that, but it's what I like to call the mid snacks while they're doing like mid smoking. And it's like me throwing wings on for a 16-hour cook, because I've got a 2 hour mark where I can pull those wings off after that 225 that just got hounded with smoke, and they're beautiful and they're ready to go. And I can throw them over a hotter side of my grill, get a little char on them, and be ready to rock and roll. Like that to me is what I love. And I love the creativity of competition people who are out there making armadillo eggs and, stuffing jalapenos that are fresh right there and doing it with a really beautiful double smoked bacon that they've been curing for 2 weeks. Like, they really, really, really get into it. And it's a lot of fun to watch. And it's a boatload of fun to judge as well, because once you get to meet these people and you get to talk to them and see what they're working on, the pieces of equipment, what kind of wood they're using, like, then you get that product and you sit in front of it and you taste it and you're like, this is just delicious.
And it is. And that's why I think it's so funny. You look at, they talk about the culinary evolution, where things are going, where
Right.
it's headed, that kind of thing. But you can't sleep on the barbecue competitors and the barbecue chefs, because they're smoking everything. I was
Yeah.
just talking to Mark Henry about teams. I've seen people cold smoking water to make ice cubes for their old fashions, or they're cold
Dude,
smoking sour and blueberries.
hold on. I had smoked Castelvetrano olives last night
Ooh,
at this beautiful bar called Albert's in New York. Brother, it took everything in my power for me to not order a second side of the smoked Castelvetrano olives. They were so beautiful. And it's weird because as I sat there, I thought about this. I was thinking, one, about you and I talking today, but also thinking about what we get to do in a couple of weeks. The creativity is just unmatched, man.
yeah.
It's not just brisket, ribs, chicken, and pork. There's so much more that's now involved in this. And even in some of the categories where you can do whatever you want, you're just kind of in a barbecue category.
Mhm.
Those are the things that I love the most, because that's where you see the creativity. You see the passion that all these people, and being involved with World Food for the last couple, since November, since I got involved with you in this case,
Mhm.
to be able to meet these people and start to have conversations with them. And you kind of look and you get to know the dishes and what they're going to do and who their teammates are and who's going to be out there working with them. And it's a pretty massive fraternity. And I love groups of things like that. Like, I'm a rugby player. I'm a fraternity guy. I like groups of things. So the barbecue group is definitely one that is, and it, on a competition level, is unmatched. It's unlike anything else.
It really is. And guys, what we're talking about is the Southeastern BBQ Showdown. Takes place June 14th and 15th at Segra Park, right in the heart of Columbia, South Carolina. For more information, you can go to www.southeasternbarbecueshowdown.com. And then, of course, the same on Instagram and Facebook. It's going to give you all the latest opportunities, all the latest information. And right now on socials, there's a special on a Grand Slam ticket offer. So head
Tell
over
me more.
to, oh yeah, it is buy three, get one free on tickets, hence the Grand Slam. So make sure that you go to Southeastern BBQ Showdown on Facebook and Instagram to grab that deal. And, in a parting shot, what is your number one favorite protein when we're talking about smoking barbecue?
Oh, dude, that's like the worst question,
Yep.
because one, I mean, you've got it, like, brisket is the king of all smoking with no matter what happens.
Mm-hmm.
But there's something about pork, man. I mean, pork and just the fattiness of it, the way that fat just renders through that meat and sits, and the way that pork accepts smoke the way that it does
Yep.
is man, what do I love to smoke? My favorite protein, you know what? It's ribs, man. It's definitely ribs. There's just, because you can mess up a rib.
Yeah.
No offense, I'm not a baby back guy.
Right.
Baby backs just aren't for me. It's not the world that I want to live in. I'm a full blown St. Louis spare rib across the board. And honestly, if you're going to do it right, I want a St. Louis that has been cut directly by the person from the spare.
Oh yeah.
And then I want you to do something with your tips. Like, I love to take my tips and I'll brine them in pickled cherry pepper and garlic and herbs and citrus and all that. I'll brine them for 24 hours and then I'll smoke them for like 4 hours and then toss them in a fryer
Nice.
and have that, like,
Yep.
ribby, fatty, porky, pancetta, chicharron kind of feeling with everything that goes through with it. And then there's nothing better than taking a perfectly cooked slab of ribs, one bite, taking it through. I'm not even talking about fall off the bone. I'm talking about a perfectly cooked rib with texture and a little bit of kind of pull to it, with just great smoke and a good rub. I don't even need sauce, man. I don't even need
No.
sauce.
Mm-mm. Nope. And
Yeah.
mine is and will always be that pulled pork. I
Yeah.
love just what you started to say at the front, the pulled pork issue with a nice spicy sweet slaw, that vinegary bite. That's what I look for. That's my
Yeah.
barbecue go-to. And of course, I can put that on a taco, so it makes me happy. But
Absolutely. I think what's funny about that is like one of the cool parts of I love a shoulder, butt, Boston, whatever you want to call it,
yep.
just because of the fat structure that runs through the whole thing and the
Hmm.
different sections of pork that produce such different textures and flavors, even though it's all being cooked at the same time. Like I'm a
Yep.
12-hour guy. I'm a 12-hour guy, super low and slow. I don't even need smoke that whole time. Honestly, I
Hmm.
could do smoke for probably 6 of the 12. But to me, yeah, I mean, that pulled, and then like for me, Alabama white right
Oh yeah.
across the top of it. I mean, that vinegar with a pardon me, but with like with that slaw, sweet slaw, apple cider vinegar, honey, mayonnaise, a little bit of hot sauce mixed into it with like a very fine julienne of jalapeno, and game on,
Oh, you're good.
game on.
It's that's happy life right there.
Yeah, we're
And
gonna have
that's
so
what.
much fun.
Oh, it's
We're
good
gonna have
stuff,
so much
brother.
fun. I
And
hope I don't know if I can mention this. I might be doing a pop up while I'm down there, which I'm not going to mention where just yet because we're finalizing it. But I
right.
might do a pop up on Thursday night, uh, just to get me ready for the weekend.
Well, man, I look
So
forward to finding out about that.
yeah, yeah,
Because
that'll be fun.
I will get in on Wednesday, so I am fully ready for in all be all what we got going
I got
on. And
so
then,
ready.
of course, we'll have our big friend WWE legend Mark Henry will be there with us, Jay Dakota from Food Network, and the Grillin' Fool himself. So, guys, remember, give us a follow. Brian, where can everybody follow you on social media?
Man, I'm on the gram, I'm on the talk, and I'm on the X. Every now and then I show up on Facebook if I want to talk to my older friends. But
Mhm.
it's all Chef Brian Duffy across the board. Come out and say hi.
So it's Chef Brian Duff. And again, follow us at Southeastern BBQ Showdown on Instagram and Facebook. And you can, of course, follow me at Mark Conway Media on both. And guys, see you soon.
Adios.